With 59 minutes and 59 seconds to spare, we welcome you to the Field of 68 After Dark NBA Draft Deadline Withdrawal Special. Good evening, everybody. It's great to have you with us. I'm John Fanta, joined by Terrence Oglesby, Rob Dauster, and Jeff Goodman. And over the next hour, we will be teeing up the big decisions to be made, the big storylines on this day. The news cycle today has been absolutely absurd. But we begin this evening with the big news. For a second straight offseason, the reigning National Player of the Year has announced he's coming back to his school. Zach Edey announcing tonight, everybody, that he is coming back to Purdue for his senior season. Rob Dauster, what does this news mean?
It means that Purdue is going to be a team that we're going to be talking about all season long. It means they're going to be a team that is going to be competing for the Big Ten regular season title. It means they're going to be a team that is in the conversation for top 5 in all of college basketball. They basically bring everybody back from a team that won the Big Ten regular season title outright, that won the Big Ten tournament title, and was a number 1 seed heading into the NCAA tournament. I know they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. I know that the postseason was not something that Purdue fans want to remember. I know that Robbie Hummel was crying his eyes out after the first day of the NCAA tournament. But this is still a very, very good basketball team. And they bring back a guy in Zach Edey that T.O. is a perfect and a great ambassador for the sport of college basketball and everything that makes this sport what it is.
Well, he's terrific. And another thing is now you put Purdue in position now where those young guards are no longer young guards. They're all sophomores. Now you can figure out ways to get him the ball in different ways. This is massive, not only for Purdue, but for the Big Ten. The Big Ten needs some love, especially in March. We've talked about it enough. I think it might be time to really consider Purdue could win a national championship next year, because I feel like that year is really going to help them out. John, I think the big thing, too, is Lance Jones transferring in. They got Miles Colvin coming in. Are they going to be able to get a couple of more guys to West Lafayette to help them out? They lose Brandon Newman. They lose a couple of others, but it's still a team.
Be it. That's their roster. T.O., their roster is pretty much set right now. And, listen, the question we're going to ask every year now is, can a guy like Zach Edey, can a team like that win a national title? Can they win 6 straight? But I'm glad he came back too. Like, great kid, can make more money, probably should be able to make more money, will make more money.
We talked about this with Matt Painter, Goodman. It's great for college basketball that NIL, name, image, and likeness, the ability for players to be able to make money. It's made it so it's not a financial decision to go pro. Zach Edey,
especially for these bigs.
Yeah, Zach Edey made the decision that was the best for him as a human being. It was not something where he had to make a decision because this was going to be his chance to start making money. He can start making money now as a college basketball player, as the face of the sport, as a guy with a chance to win back-to-back National Player of the Year awards for a team that has the chance to win back-to-back Big Ten titles. I love this. I'm really, really happy they're back. And Goodman, we saw what Zach Edey was and what he meant to West Lafayette and the person that he is. Him, Oscar Tshiebwe, like I love that those two guys are the guys that are coming back as the reigning National Player of the Years, returning to school. 2 great ambassadors for their programs and for the sport.
Yeah, the key is Braden Smith. He's the key, Fanta. Can he, as Tio said, these freshmen are going to become sophomores, and Lawyer wore down. He got hurt. He wasn't the same, and Braden Smith just plain wore down. It didn't have enough help. It really wasn't his fault. And now I think, and you got to remember, this was a kid too that had been hurt and didn't play in the preseason, didn't play all summer because of an injury that he was recovering from. So he had missed a lot of time. I think that might have affected him too a little bit. So I don't know how much more help he's going to have, because Lance Jones is not really a point, the transfer from Southern Illinois, but he's a veteran guard, and Braden Smith is just going to be older and more mature and haven't gone through all this.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm referencing Borzello's roster updates. They only have
I would
10
take
players.
that and throw it right in the trash.
But they only have 10 people listed. Is there somebody else coming? Like there's still time right now via the portal to add another body that could help out a little bit, at least when times get hard for some of those guys who are now sophomores.
Hey, T.O. All that NIL that Purdue had,
it all went to
the big boy. It just went to the big boy. They got nothing left. Nothing.
Yeah. All the salary cap is gone.
That's right. It's gone.
Here's the interesting dimension to all this, because we could talk about what it means for them from an offensive perspective to get enough consistency on the perimeter. And then you take into account that like you said, Smith and Lawyer were freshmen. You bring back Ethan Morton. You bring back Caleb First. And one of the unique things, Jeff, is that it's not like we're sitting here saying, well, Purdue is soft as can be. They don't play defense. This was a team that was ranked 24th last year, 24th in the country in KenPom adjusted defensive efficiency. But I think what this comes down to is we obviously know, I mean, it's not any revelation. This team's going to be one of the best seeds in the NCAA tournament next year. Who are they when they show up? Will we see Matt Painter and the Boilers psychologically handle coming off the epic loss to FDU and put it all together? Because at the end of the day, it's national championship or bust. That's what it is in West Lafayette.
Ooh, no.
I don't know. They need to get to the Final Four, Fanta.
No,
that's what I
Final
think.
Four bust. Final Four bust.
Yeah,
they go to the Final Four next year. Fanta, if they go to the Final Four, trust me, they'll still be okay. That'll be a successful year with what has happened the last few years in the NCAA tournament.
And here's the other thing about it is they were a year ahead of schedule with the success that they had last season, right?
A year. I'm not sure anybody thought they'd get there, period, with that group.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming. And it worked masterfully, right? In a league where they're kind of built for it. Now they know what they're going to have to do. And it's not something where, you know, the loss to North Texas, right? In 2021, they lost some pieces coming back the next season. The loss to St. Peter's in the 2022 tournament. They lost Jaden Ivey. They lost other pieces. They lost their backcourt. They had a freshman backcourt coming back. These are the same guys. So they know. They're ready for it. They know what to expect when they get to March. And look, I hear what you're saying. And I know the story of Virginia. And I know how you can sit there and you could draw those like parallels. But like, we haven't seen Purdue make that run yet. And I think we kind of need to see that. It's the same thing as Virginia, right? Like Virginia was that team that they were the choke artists that couldn't win the big game when it came to March. And then they found a way to win a national title. So I would love to see that narrative come to fruition for Purdue.
I'm not saying the season's deemed a failure if they don't win the national championship. I'm saying Zach Edey's coming back because the thought in mind is he's got a real shot to also win a national championship. Like that's the only way that this team's going to be thinking.
Yes and no. Zach Edey's coming back because, frankly, he's not a first-round pick, and he can make more money playing at Purdue than he can wherever else next year. That's why he's coming back. Purdue is still, yes, obviously, they're thinking maybe you can win a national title, but I think realistic expectations are win four. Win four, even if they lost in the Final Four, I think it would be deemed a successful season next year.
Hell yes.
Of course.
Yes.
P.O., once you get to a Final Four, absolutely, because anything can happen in a Final Four. I'm with you guys on that.
Yeah, you get to Final Four. After that, it's just a roll of the dice. I think Purdue should be there. I mean, it's time. And for the Big Ten, it's time. You need one. It's been enough years of mediocrity in the NCAA.
You got to get the Hummel off your back.
You got to get the Hummel off your back. This needs to happen. This is the Big Ten's year. This needs to happen.
Well,
that's what we're going to say from now on. It's always get the Hummel off your back.
That's so good. Can we
t-shirt.
Put that on a t-shirt? Greg, hey, G Wizzy, put that on a t-shirt, man. Get the Hummel off your back.
Field68.shop. Field68.shop. That is a t-shirt with Hummel like bent down. And
Oh, now you're going too far.
Oh,
Now you're going too far.
Oh,
not
boy,
going there.
Fanta. Oh, no. Oh,
no.
no.
Like Hummel,
No,
Hummel, and
the Purdue hat's gone now.
they have to get over
Move
the
on.
All right, I got a question for you guys. So we made that comparison, right? Purdue lost to a 16 seed as a number 1 seed. Same thing Virginia did. Virginia went out and won a national title. Well, Oscar Tshiebwe came back to school off of losing to a 15 seed as the reigning national player of the year, came back to Kentucky, and things did not get fixed the year he came back. So I want to know, what do you guys think is more likely for Purdue this season, to have a Kentucky year or to have a Virginia year?
Virginia year. To have a Virginia year. Yeah, that's the more likely scenario.
Matt Painter's on those sidelines. That would be the difference there. So I would lean more towards the Virginia year, but the medium 10 doesn't help them. Like it's time to like figure that out.
Medium 10. I love that. Man, we got some good one-liners tonight already. We're how many minutes in? 10 minutes in. We've already got a couple.
And we do have one comment that came in to our YouTube chat that says that you, Jeff, are incredibly sunburned.
I'm tanned. I'm well tanned. Just an hour in a Gunkwit, Maine. Look at how well I tan, or yes, maybe burn.
There was another one that said that Dauster's hair hasn't moved since April. Same guy, ironically enough.
That's true.
Oh man,
That's
we got to
very
ban
true.
Bentley. We got to send Bentley the way of Yuli.
So we've led with Purdue, and that's obviously huge news, and it's great news for college basketball. On the opposite end of the spectrum tonight is the program based out of Lexington, that being Kentucky. This sums it up. Oscar Tshiebwe, Chris Livingston staying in the draft. Antonio Reeves, a sharpshooter, pulling out, but he's not yet committed to a return to Kentucky. So John Calipari will wake up in the morning with 7 scholarship players, 8 gone, 1 not totally sure. T.O., I'm going to go to you first. How concerning is this for UK?
Hey, look, it's a highly touted recruiting class. It's not one of the stronger recruiting classes in the last 20 years. I think that's one thing going into next year. Sure, they're going to get a lot of tout. They're going to get a lot of people talking about them. But these freshmen are freshmen in the truest sense of the word, freshmen. I mean, this is not somebody like Paolo Banchero coming in and being 250 pounds out of the gate. DJ Wagner, good player, very slender, $165. Dillingham might be 145 pounds soaking wet. And even though Justin Edwards is really, really talented, he's also very much a freshman. And keep in mind, too, COVID year's still there. It's going to be tough sledding for these guys for a while until they figure it out. Now, talent's there. All that's great and good, but they're going to get beat up a little bit, especially in the early part of the season. If I was Oscar, I'm not really sure what the end goal is. Like they've set up ways for him to get big.
I think he had just had it, Tio. He made more money last year than he ever could have imagined. Yeah. Last year didn't go that well. I mean, remember, he was benched at times last season.
Yeah.
He was benched at times. And this is a dude that, like, honestly, kind of got the Kentucky Big Blue Nation back, right? Excited again for everything he gave. And nobody saw that coming when he transferred from West Virginia.
Right.
Obviously, they lose to St. Peter's. That put kind of a stain on that year. But I think he was ready. I think he was just ready. And the money didn't matter as much as just, I'm ready to move on.
Yep. And is he an NBA player? I don't think so. I thought he had a hard time at the combine. This is a guy that's going to go over and hopefully be like Joey Dorsey playing for Olympiacos or Fenerbahce or something like that. He can do that. I think the NBA is just going to be a little bit too difficult for him because he's no longer the biggest kid on the block.
Yeah, but here's the big question, Jeff. John Calipari wakes up on June 1st and has 7 players. How concerned are you about this with Kentucky? How should we view them at the moment? You just put out your updated top 25.
They're 25th, and I was being
laughable. That's laughable, Goodman.
They should be 50th. You're right. They should be 50th right now.
You caved.
How young they are in today's
you
college
caved
basketball.
to the public pressure. You got scared of Big Blue Nation. Just admit it.
No, I put them at 25. honestly, I
He was too
torn
busy
whether
trying to figure out where he was going to put Arizona, so he forgot about Kentucky.
I wanted to put Arizona out, but I couldn't come up with 23 better teams than Arizona, even with Caleb Love.
We'll get to them later.
Anyway, let's get to Kentucky.
Yes.
You don't win young. Like, we know this by now. And I remember having a conversation with Cal, the first conversation we had in about 12 years, about a year and a half ago. And I said to him, it was when he had Oscar coming in. Was that 2 years ago? Oscar coming in. And I said, if this works, CJ Frederick was in then. He was healthy. If this works, will you go with this kind of deal with transfers? And he was like, well, I got to see. I'm not committing to it yet. And I just don't understand, like, how tone deaf you've got to be not to understand what's going to happen. You went 0 for 3 today. Now, I know Reeves pulled out, but there's a lot of sentiment growing right now that Antonio Reeves is not going to play in Lexington, Kentucky. There's still a chance, but a lot of people think he's going to transfer. He's going to try to grad transfer. So your team right now is 2 holdovers that I don't even know who the hell they are because they never played, and 5 freshmen that, frankly, as Tio said, is to me somewhat of a flawed freshman class. Because, again, I love Edwards and Bradshaw. I've said it over and over and over again, and people will get tired of hearing it. I don't think Wagner and Dillingham are great together. I just think they're 2 ball-dominant, high-volume, low-efficiency guards. Reed Shepherd, I don't know how much he plays. He's got to play, I guess, now. Got to play.
Honestly,
play.
The fit to me doesn't really matter at this point, right? If you go back and look at the last 2 years, the average is right about 20 top 100 freshmen averaging 10 points a game in college basketball. Right about 12 top 25 freshmen averaging double figures. If you look at transfers, of the top 100 transfers, you get about 60 to 65 of them the last 2 years that have averaged double figures. Transfers, getting old, that's the way to go in the COVID era, where you can go get a 23-year-old as opposed to getting a 19-year-old in a class that is not that good. Like, Tio, you made the perfect point, and this is all you need to understand about this situation, right? You got one of the best recruiting classes in the country coming in. If you took any of those guys, any of those players coming in, DJ Wagner, Robert Dillingham, Reed Shepherd, Justin Edwards, Aaron Bradshaw, would any of them be better than any of the 3 freshmen that Duke had coming in Zion's year? Would you take any of them over Zion, Trey Jones, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett? Because I don't think that I would. Would you take any of them over the guys that they had Paolo Banchero's year, Mark Williams, any of those guys? It's just not the same. Not all 5-star recruits are built the same. And I think in an era where everybody is trying to get older, where success has proven to come from getting older players. Look who just won the national title, junior Andre Jackson. You got a junior in Adama Sanogo. Your 5-star freshman, Donovan Clingan, came off the bench, right? Alex Caravan, role guy, freshman that came in a year early. He was 20 years old. Getting older is what you're trying to do in college basketball. And Kentucky has gotten younger and leaned all the way into it and lost all their veterans. Like, I just, how is this going to work? I'm very concerned about it.
Yeah, devil's advocate on the 2 ball dominant guards. He's done that before with John Wall and Eric Bledsoe. Like, he's had those things before. That these are not physically mature guards. That's my biggest concern. They're very, very talented. Let's not let that get away. They're very, very good, but they are very physically immature compared to some of these other guys they've had to pass. And to be honest with you, all those players that you referenced from Duke and all these other places.
But hypothetically speaking here, and then we'll get to our next topic. Like, hypothetically speaking, if this goes down the pathway that it looks like it could go down, which is not good for Kentucky. Let's just say they're living life on the bubble. They find a way to make the NCAA tournament. They flame out again. At a certain point, do you not sit here and say, like, this is the definition of insanity. This is Kentucky basketball. We're not going anywhere. We haven't made a second week of an NCAA tournament in a half decade. The standards here are better than that. Enough is enough.
Fanta, how many times are you going to try to fire John Calipari? I think this is like the 3rd straight offseason where you've tried to fire John Calipari. But here's the thing. You're not wrong.
Fire him.
Right? Like, you're Kentucky. There should be a certain level of expectation when you are Kentucky. And I don't think that Kentucky has necessarily lived up to that to the last couple of years. And I don't think, and I think
they
that
haven't.
they haven't. And to me, the thing that I would be the most frustrated about if I was a Kentucky fan is that it's the failure to adapt to what is working in college basketball right now. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. But Jay Wright, in his last 10 years as head coach, you know how many transfers he brought in? 4. Exactly 4 over the course of 10 years. You know how many Kyle Neptune has brought in this
23
offseason?
24.
He's brought in 4 this offseason.
All of them.
It's the failure to adapt to what is working in college basketball right now. It's the failure to adapt to the way that teams are playing.
Adapt or die, Rob.
Adapt or die. Like you play. There were too many times where they rolled out lineups with Severe Wheeler at the point, Lance Ware at the 5, and Oscar Tshiebwe at the 4, with Chris Livingston playing the 3, and your offense doesn't work, and you're shocked that it's not working. Like, you got 17 guys on the floor. They can't.
Didn't we all say this last year in the preseason? Didn't we all know this? I mean, we all knew Toppin, Oscar, Wheeler, if you put them out on the floor together, that shit wasn't going to work. All right. I have one thing to drop here too.
Go ahead.
I talked to a source in the last 48 hours, and there's some injury concern also with Aaron Bradshaw in his foot. Okay.
Oh.
So beyond the fact that you've only got 7 dudes, and I think Aaron Bradshaw is probably your highest upside guy and maybe your most important player in a way, because of his length, his athleticism, and his size up front. I think he's a 4-man. I don't know. He probably wants to play the 3. He'll probably end up playing a lot of 5 out of necessity right now. But whatever the case, he's super ultra talented, and there's definitely some concern, I'm told, in that Kentucky camp about Aaron Bradshaw and his foot injury.
That's worrisome, especially when there's a big hole in the middle now.
Yes.
And here's the thing: he doesn't want to be down there anyway, which doesn't help when you have foot problems and you're getting stepped on in the SEC. That doesn't help. So a lot of concern there. But there are still options in the portal. I would be shocked if there's not 2.
Well, we'll go through them at the end of the show. There's not as many as you think, and honestly, you're making up ground with a few of these dudes. Now, you can do it if you offer enough NIL. You can make up ground quickly. That's the one benefit these days. But there's not that many impact dudes. And the thing is, like Arthur Kaluma, he obviously withdrew today. Creighton transfer. Kentucky's on his list. I put out there among 3 or 4 other schools. Well, Kaluma doesn't really fit what Kentucky needs. Only an experience, but he doesn't shoot it well. That's what they need if they don't get Reeves. They need a shooter. Otherwise, honestly, they're going to have to throw Reach. Like, I don't think Wagner's a shooter. He's a scorer. I don't think Dillingham's a shooter. He's a scorer. So, Edwards, same thing. They need a shooter, and Reed Shepherd's the closest thing they have to that.
Concerning times for Big Blue Nation. Hey, on the other side of the break, we'll head to the home of the defending national champions, to Storrs. Is there cause for concern with UConn? Plus, the biggest winners and losers of this NBA draft withdrawal deadline day. All that and more coming up. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. Now, a word from AG1.
For today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's Field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark NBA Draft Withdrawal Deadline Special. Players have at the moment 34 minutes and 59 seconds or so to get their decisions in as we come back from commercial break. The players that are left to still have not put out their decision are Dylan Mitchell of Texas, as well as Damian Baugh and Emmanuel Miller of TCU. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but let's turn to the defending national champions, the Connecticut Huskies. Andre Jackson, so long. Could be a first-round pick. Adama Sanogo, goodbye. Jordan Hawkins, we knew he was gone. But Jackson's news, the Swiss Army knife, the leader, the do-it-all, he defended at such a high level. UConn knows that Tristan Newton's coming back. They know they have one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and they know they've got Alex Caravan and Donovan Clingan. Jeff Goodman, are you concerned at all, though, about UConn heading into next year?
I am. I absolutely am. Like, I love Clingan, but I just think they lost so much of note. I mean, you think about it. You lost your three best players. You lost your three best players, period. There's no other way to say it. Clingan could turn into better than Sanogo. We don't know yet. But, you know, the beauty of that team was they didn't have a great point guard situation with Tristan Newton. They didn't need it the way they played. Next year, I think they're going to need it. That's the difference. I think they're going to need it because, again, what do you have next year that like Andre Jackson was the it dude. He just brought everything, the toughness, athleticism, defense, whatever. Jordan Hawkins just kind of made shots. He could get it going whenever you needed him to. And obviously Sanogo was a beast down low. He was their balance was really good. And I'm worried. I'm worried because they've got nothing done in the portal. And they got a bunch of freshmen that, again, Stephen Castle and Solo Ball, they're talented. But again, they're freshmen. And I just don't know if now you can mask those point guard deficiencies like you did last year.
Define worried. Hold on. Define, like, when you say you're worried about them, are you worried about them as like being outside the top 25? Are you worried about them with all like everyone has them like top 5, but do you think that they're like not like a top 20-ish kind of a team?
I think they could fall outside the top 25. Yes, I think they could be a team that falls out, especially in that league this year.
Wow. I don't think so on that one.
No, I think it's possible if you look at the roster and the guys coming back. Donovan Clingan's a sophomore. Caravan, I know he redshirted half a year or whatever. He's technically a sophomore. Tristan Newton's like the old guy, and then you have 5 freshmen plus some sophomores. So that's the thing that kind of worries me a little bit, especially playing in the league like the Big East, which is filled to the brim with old dudes. I mean, look what Villanova's done here lately. They're young. This might be a reset year with a chance of holding on to all these guys, not just this year, but the next year. It might be an every other year type of deal for Hurley and crew. I mean, that would worry me if I'm picking something out, just the overall youth of this group.
The biggest thing that I'm worried about heading into this season is the leadership factor, right? Like, Andre Jackson was a leader. He set a tone. Adama Sanogo set a tone, right? Like, Jordan Hawkins, his toughness, like, he didn't talk at all. Like, that dude was silent, but the toughness that he played with, like the injuries that he played through, those guys were leaders. That was their team. And I don't know whose team it is going to be next season. My gut says that it's going to be Clingan and Caravan that kind of set that tone. I don't think Tristan Newton is that guy. He's not like, he's just kind of this laid back, chill Southern dude. But I'm not like,
so what do they have right now? So you're telling me they have Newton, Caravan, Clingan, and who's their 4th best returning player?
That's not.
They don't really have. They don't have a 4th best returning player, but they have a top 3 recruiting class coming in, and a guy in Stephen Castle that can be your 3rd best player as a freshman, and a bunch of pieces off the bench that are going to be able to fit.
He'll need to be. I
don't think that they're done in the portal, but also like,
they're not.
Yeah, and I don't. I don't think that they are a top 5 team right now. I think that they are probably like
Hell
in that,
no. Of course
yeah,
they're not a
in,
top 5 team right now.
but there's a bunch of people that have them ranked there. Like, so they,
Well,
but
that's ridiculous.
to me, they're in that top. They're that top 10 to 15 range.
Yeah,
I think Marquette is the favorite to win the Big East. I think UConn, I think Creighton, I think Villanova are kind of like that next tier. They're gun to head. I think that they, like, if I had to bet my life on it, they'd be somewhere in the 3 to 5 seed range in the NCAA tournament. And I think you call that a successful season considering what they lost. Like, I don't know if you call that a reset year, but like if you're a top 15 team and you're resetting, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about what the UConn program is, right? Like, it just,
they need Cam Spencer.
These guys are going to hate
yes,
me.
they need Cam Spencer. They get Cam Spencer, we're having a very different conversation.
Yeah,
totally.
Terrence?
Yeah, I don't know if UConn fans are going to love me after what I'm about to say. They're so young in an age of so many old teams. I don't see a 3 to 5 seed. Like, just because of circumstance, not because they're not talented, just because of circumstance with so many old teams. I think this is a 7, 8, 9.
So
as it stands, not because of talent, because of youth. Sorry, Fanta.
I'll go halfway. Okay, I'm going to say 5 or 6 if I had to put a seed on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it's being fully accounted for just, and I'm not expecting it to be the kind of leader that Donovan Clingan can be.
I agree with that.
He wears it on his sleeve. He takes a lot of pride in being at UConn. He's one of Connecticut's own. Look at what he did in the sample size that he had as a freshman. There's evidence to suggest that those figures are going to go up, but as the vocal leader, as that guy who sort of gets the nasty in them, I think he's got it in him. I really do. And I would say this, Alex Caravan is not your typical sophomore. That
21.
That kid
21.
is beyond his years. He plays the game like he's like 28 years old. He is a seasoned player for a sophomore. So as much as they are youthful with the freshman class, and it's not like they have depth and experience, you do have your point guard back, and you do have your front court intact. You got to have enough shot making on the perimeter, which has always been the question with Connecticut. We'll see.
The swing is going to be like, just how good is Donovan Clingan? Does he come out and he's like an all Big East kind of a guy? Or does he come out and is he like,
I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about
second team, first team All-American? Like, are we talking about him in the same sentence as Zach Edey and Armando Bacot and Hunter Dickinson as the best big man in college basketball? Because if that's true and he does it all in the defensive end and you got all these athletes and all this length and all this size, like, they could be a top 5 defense in college basketball. And then you just got to be good enough on the offensive end. And if they get Cam Spencer, I think they will be. We can move on. Sorry.
Let's move on here because we're at 11:32. We're on the field of 68. It's after dark. Right now you're looking, folks, at about 27 minutes or so. You've only got a couple left in terms of the decisions to be made public. A couple of the TCU guys, as well as Dylan Mitchell over at Texas. But let's talk about winners and losers from the day. It's been a wild day. I mean, this has been a day that started all the way back at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So in terms of some of the winners here, I'll give you the pool of teams. Michigan State won today with Jaden Akins and A.J. Hoggard. Illinois is a huge winner today with Terrence, Coleman, Hawkins, Creighton, Villanova, UCLA with Adim Bona, FAU. We get to that amazing storyline. T.O., I heard you say huge winner, Illini. Why?
Got to be. I mean, Terrence Shannon and Coleman Hawkins, that's huge. And not only that, they're in a running for a couple of other really, really good players. So that certainly helps. But to get Hawkins back, another year under his belt playing for everybody's favorite head coach, Brad Underwood, I think that's huge. Daddy Brad, buy the T-shirt, Field of 68 shop. I just feel like that roster, once again, there's more continuity. I think Terrence Shannon was one of the more surprising names to come back because I think like he had a shot to get paid some guaranteed money in the NBA. That was one of the more. Man.
Hawkins was close to leaving, really close.
And understandably so. I mean, Jeff, 6'10", has the ability to shoot it a little bit, handle it a little bit. Like he just oozes NBA tools and potential. Being that size and with his skill level, it's just, is he able to make the right decisions all the time? I'm not quite sure if that's the case on the floor. So you have to be happy if you're an Illini fan, and Trevor should be thrilled.
So the thing about this Illinois team to me is that in an ideal world, you have a guy in Terrence Shannon that can be your point guard, your lead handler, and you have a guy in Coleman Hawkins that can kind of be like your secondary complementary creator. I kind of think about like Tristan Newton and Andre Jackson. It's not two typical point guards, but you have two guys that can kind of create stuff. I think about the North Carolina team that played Theo Pinson at the 3, where you had Marcus Page and you had Joel Berry and you had Theo Pinson. You had multiple guys that could create. On paper, that looks great for Illinois. On paper, I think Luke Goody coming back, Sincere Harris, Ty Rogers, those guys all had moments where they kind of popped last year, right? I think some of the transfers they got coming in, the kid from Oregon, the Guerrier kid, Marcus, I'm blanking on his last name right now.
Marcus Domask from Southern
Marcus Domask coming in. Like, they have a bunch of length, they have a bunch of athleticism. This looks like a Brad Underwood team. On paper, everything works. On paper, everything looked great last year too. I worry about a team that was inconsistent last season, bringing back those same inconsistent guys and trying to say, okay, we're going to run it back and expect an entirely different outcome. The talent's there. Like, I think if you look at the players that they have on paper, like, this is a team that should be top 15-ish in the country, that should be not quite in the same conversation, but like nudging up in that conversation with Michigan State and Purdue in the Big Ten. But I bought into him so hard last year and it didn't necessarily work out great. So I might as well just do it again, right? Like, are we just going to go all in on the Illini? Just roll with the Coleman Hawkins roller coaster, roll the Terrence Shannon roller coaster. I'll tell you this: if we get the Virginia Terrence Shannon, the Las Vegas Terrence Shannon, Illinois is going to win the national title, guaranteed. Lock it in.
Well, listen,
if we get directional school Coleman Hawkins in every game.
they didn't have a point guard. You know who else didn't have a point guard last year?
UConn.
The Villanova Wildcats, baby.
Oh,
They have now loaded up, Fanta. They're the biggest winners. They are the biggest winners of today, of the portal season, of all of it. Because
I don't know about that.
All of it. They have NIL now. They kept Justin Moore, number 1 with NIL. They went and they got TJ Bamba from Washington State, a New York native who comes in and gives them kind of that scoring wing, kind of old school game. They go and they get Hakeem Hart, a veteran from Maryland, who will be a really good piece. They get Lance Ware, who barely played it, didn't do much at Kentucky. He'll be a good piece. You got Eric Dixon back. Mark Armstrong's your kind of point guard if he's good enough. If not, you play more at the point. And oh, by the way, you just got Tyler Burton, who withdrew yesterday, committed today to Villanova. Terrific player from Richmond. Not a alpha dog, but a terrific wing, skilled, athletic. He'll be great. Honestly, Neptune went from having nothing last year at the start of the season to honestly being loaded now and having everything he needs to maybe win the Big East this year. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that, and you guys are well sourced to talk to people, that Villanova, the moment that they got knocked out of the Big East tournament, if not before, 2-3 weeks before, the wheels had been turning on this for weeks, if not months, of, all right, look at what they did out in Portland. The moment that they went 0-4 out of the Phil 9 was the moment of, this is not going well. It's probably not going to end well. And we need to move fast because we are Villanova and expectations are high there now. The expectation has changed.
Yeah.
This past year, disappointing in every way. To bring in Baker Dunleavy to run the NIL stuff.
Yeah. Did you give any money for Villanova's NIL? Did they ask you for any money, Fanta?
No, he donated to Seton Hall.
Just Seton Hall? You're only allowed to donate to Seton Hall?
I heard it was Georgetown.
I don't give money. I only carry water.
You give water to Cooley.
I carry plenty of water. My water has
don't
not
donate money. I only carry water.
My water has not broken yet.
Whoa.
Having said this, Rob, compose yourself. Here's the thing.
I've missed you, Fanta. I've missed you.
Thing. I missed you too. Here's the thing. I'm with you, Jeff. I think that this is a top 3 team in the Big East.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a top 15 team in the country. In fact, I'd probably put them 14, 15 right now.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. They don't need Tyler Burton to be their alpha.
No.
Justin Moore, I think we all thought, Moore's going to come back and he'll be pretty good or he'll be okay. No. He came back. He had Villanova playing as well as anybody going into March this past season. It just faded at the end. Having him run the show, Eric Dixon is a killer, guys, on the interior. I mean, he's a bull.
He's an alpha.
And they're all old. Look at how old they are as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They're old and switchable. And they have multiple ball
Here's-
handlers on the floor at all times now.
I have two major concerns. Well, no, I don't want to say major concerns, but I have 2 concerns that I need to see how these things develop. One, I am not convinced that Justin Moore at the point guard spot is the answer to any situation. I think he needs someone to complement him back there. So to me, you need Mark Armstrong to take a leap. You need
He can.
Yeah. You don't need him to be an all-conference guy. You don't need him to be Jalen Brunson. You don't need him to be Arcidiacono. You need him to be a 12-4 guy that on the nights when you need a big night, he can get you 22, 23, every third night. He can make plays on the road. He can be a guy that can disrupt stuff. You need Mark Armstrong to take a leap. The other thing is, and I said this last year too, Jay Wright, what made him special as a basketball coach was his ability to teach the game and his ability to get guys to play the way that he wanted to play after having them in his program for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years, right? Kyle Neptune, we don't know. I like Kyle. I want him to succeed. We don't know what he is as a teacher of the game yet, simply because we haven't had a chance to see it. The 1 year we've seen him as a head coach, it's 2 of his 3 top guys were injured at the start of the year. He never had a fair chance to kind of get it going. So we need to see what Kyle Neptune is and how quickly he can get all of these guys and all of these new pieces. Let's just call it what it is. If they have 7 guys in their rotation right now, 57% of their lineup is going to be new pieces coming in. So we need to see what Kyle Neptune can be. This is a big year for Kyle, I think. And I'll tell you this much. I had my doubts about his ability to go into portal and get that done. He proved me wrong there, and I would love to see him prove me wrong. The Big East is better when Villanova is great. It just is, and they got a chance to be it. I'm very excited about what this team can be. And I live outside Philly. Let's go. Come on. I need that local team to be good.
When's the last time you were at a Villanova game?
I didn't go last year, but no, I didn't go the COVID year, so probably 2019.
You don't even go.
No, wow.
I mean, let's face it, you don't even leave your house.
I've been since I moved up here. I've probably been to 8 Villanova games.
But he gets to games.
Yeah, I was
he gets to games. He'll
be.
But not all of us can go to Fairfield, New Hampshire, and think that we're doing our job. Okay,
we drag him out to Austin, Texas, and Kansas State. And he's got to run it by his wife. And
I do. Hey, Goodman, some of us actually have families we care about. Okay?
Didn't you cover?
Not all of us can build every trip around going to Bloomington. All right.
Didn't you cover Manhattan and Didn't you cover Manhattan and Manhattanville?
Yes.
Oh, I think I did. I did. Yes, I did.
You did.
It was the day of the Champions Classic. They moved the time for me.
Hey, I got a winner for you guys, and nobody is talking about them at all. Nobody is talking about them.
Nobody.
Michigan State. Nobody is talking about them. Everyone's talking about Villanova. Everyone's talking about Zach Edey. Everyone's talking about Illinois. Everyone's talking about UConn. Nobody is talking about the fact that AJ Hogarth's back. Jaden Akins is back.
Where are they going to go?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Where the hell are these dudes going to go? Where were they going to go?
They weren't going anywhere.
It's like that cat
they have
played from.
Tell me how many teams in college basketball have a better backcourt than Tyson Walker, AJ Hoggard, and Jaden Akins?
Where were they going to go? It's like the guy from Nebraska, the little 2-guard. What's his name?
Kelsey Tominaga.
He's like, I'm back. Like, you left?
Everybody wants attention these days. I mean, that's why 242 players were in the, early entries were in there when honestly, there should have been about 50 or 75 of them total. right? I mean, there's probably, 20 that are locks, and then you want to put another 20 or 50 that go through the process. That's fine. But again, we're in a different era now, man. We're in a different era.
that's the thing is literally 2 years ago, we had 90 or 100 players leaving early, right? And we are now in an era where second round picks are coming back. That wasn't happening 2 years ago.
Right,
That's the thing. Guys that could, if you could get like a two-way, if you had a shot at not even a guaranteed spot, if you had a shot at getting a two-way, you were leaving because bare minimum, you could get like a 50K camp guarantee and go make a G League roster somewhere and bank like 120K. And now you have these guys coming back because they can kind of make that and get there with NIL stuff. It's okay.
Hey, can I give one piece of advice to any kid watching right now? Get a contract. Get a contract from the collective, whatever it is. Get a contract this year. Too many kids didn't get it last year.
A lot of false promises.
Can we answer this question? All right.
And don't let the agent take 20%.
No.
Get him down.
20%. Dudes are swindling 20%.
20% for NIL bullshit. Like, come on.
That's bullshit on the agent's part.
Highway robbery.
I have an idea of which agents are doing that.
Yes.
I have an idea.
Oh boy.
Most of them are the low level ones. The big boy, they're not taking 20%. A lot of them aren't even charging them.
Right. They don't need it
for the NIL. They're not. They're not even
why
charging.
You don't charge them on the NIL because the 4% on that first NBA contract is going to be way bigger than 20% on any NIL shit that you're getting.
Right. Now, before we continue on, because I want to hit on some losers of the day, I did want to ask this question. So knowing that with Michigan State, if we're talking about Purdue Final Four or bust, if we're talking in that column, I mean, does Michigan State follow that for you guys? Are you more bullish on Purdue heading into next season, or are you in a class where you're actually more bullish on Tom Izzo and perhaps his best remaining chance to win a title in his career?
I'm more bullish on, I'll say it, I'm more bullish on Michigan State. I think Michigan State is, look, it's Duke, Kansas, whatever order you want, probably Kansas, Duke for 1-2 in the country. I think Michigan State is probably number 3 for me. I love their guards. I love their backcourt. Malik Hall is 37 years old, and he's going to be back for another season. The Booker kid that's coming in, I think, is
Xavier Booker.
Yeah, he's in such a great situation where he's got like 9 different guards that are going to be able to set him up for situations where literally all you got to do is catch it and dunk it. Right?
They probably have the best athlete. They probably have the best athlete in college basketball next year in Cohen Carr. Yes. Coming into they can just go in and just do stuff.
We're talking about great guards. We haven't even said Jeremy Fears' name. Like that. Look, college basketball is, at the end of the day, a guards game. Look at the teams that win national titles. They have multiple playmakers, multiple point guards. Michigan State's got 37 of them, and they also got big guys, and they got depth, and they got that guy named Tom Izzo on the bench.
And Goodman talked about him. Jeremy Fears is really, really good, and he's going to have time to figure it out if he just hangs around. Like, that kid's talented.
Well, they can withstand injuries. They're always like, I feel like Michigan State's always injured, right? Don't you feel like every year they're banged up? So now, to be honest, somebody gets hurt for 5-10 games, it might be a blessing in a way because Izzo can keep somebody else happy. Like, Booker is going to take time, guys. He's going to take time. Like, don't be surprised if Xavier Booker plays like 5 minutes the first couple of games.
That's what's great about this team is like they don't have to rush the freshmen along. Like, Kentucky's got to rush their freshmen along and figure it out. They're going to take some lumps along the way, right? Duke last year had to rush their freshmen along. They took some lumps early in the season. Michigan State doesn't have to do that. Like, Xavier Booker could just come in and do his job. Go out there and be an athlete for 10 to 12 minutes. Catch a couple of dunks. You're going to get on some highlight reels, and we're going to build you up to being a guy that can get 20, 25 minutes and be an impact player. That's what the best teams do right now.
Yeah, the same trajectory as Derek Lively last year.
Yes.
Like, you have guys in that spot to where, like, after a while, like, you can eventually turn into that guy middle of February, and then you have him through the tournament. Michigan State's a legit Final Four contender.
Yeah.
I love what you said about injuries because Izzo is the king of kid gets hurt. I'm preparing to not have him for the rest of the season. And he plays like he suits up 2 weeks later, 7 days later. Like, he's like that. But they always, you're right, Goodman. They always have an injury.
Yep.
Hey,
Oh,
can I give you guys 3 more winners that we have to touch on, even if it's just for like a minute here?
Yeah.
Number 1, Creighton. Trey Alexander coming back, massive. Ryan Kalkbrenner coming back, massive. That team is going to compete for a Big East regular season title this year. UCLA gets a Dean Bona back, massive for them. That team is really interesting in the Pac-12. And last one, Goodman, FAU.
Yes.
Gets back Janelle Davis, gets back Elijah Martin, didn't lose anybody in the portal. Like, honestly, I think you said this on our transfer portal show. I don't think there's a bigger winner in the portal than Florida Atlantic not losing anybody, keeping that team together in the
How
field of
hard that
68
was.
tip off. It's going to be, I am so excited to get to Boca Raton. That is going to be
how hard that
so much
was
fun.
for Dusty May, right? To go out there, you almost had to go to the Final Four to be able to do it, to be able to sell those kids on the fact that how close they were. Let's run it back and see, with everybody back for the most part. But everybody's going after them. They don't have the resources to be able to pay and match. And usually, you know, if another team's going to offer a couple $100,000 more, those kids are going to say, hey, you know what? I love you, coach. Love everything you've done for me. But man, I got to go. Well, it never got to that point because these kids never even explored it. They didn't put their names in. They put it out there immediately. We are not going anywhere. So don't even bother calling us.
Mhm.
all right. Let's turn here as we get to the final stretch. Jeff, the decision today that puzzled you.
Boy, I don't know. Today that puzzled me. I got a couple that kind of surprised. Justin Powell at the end puzzled me a little bit. Washington State, that one didn't make sense. I would say
He was all out of immediate transfers. That was a problem.
yeah, that makes sense. All right, Bediako puzzled me. May not be drafted at all. He should have went back to Alabama. He could have had a hell of a year this year, and Alabama again would he would have played all the minutes up front.
He would have played all the
would've
minutes, and
split
then the kid's Canadian, right?
I don't know where he's from originally.
He's
I
from
don't know.
Canada, and they're
That's why
playing.
they
They're
scheduled
playing
that
a
game with
game
Purdue.
up in
Right.
Toronto against Purdue just
Correct.
to have the opportunity to help him out. And
The
I don't
one
know who he was talking to, but
The one that I'd like to, give some advice to make a different decision is Jet Howard. Jet, like your dad needs you, man. He needs you so bad this year.
not for you, for your dad.
Correct. Not for you, for everything, for all those diapers that he changed of yours, for all the money he's given you over the years, for all those long talks, for all the times he sat in the bleachers watching you play AU ball. Like, go back, man. Like, take care of your dad. His team is not good right now.
Over under on how many diapers Juwan Howard changed.
All right.
Yeah,
Zero.
over under on
0.
I was gonna say. Well, for that matter, the rest of our cast here. How
I
many?
changed some diapers. I was not good at it, but I changed
I changed a shit ton of diapers.
Yeah, see, a shit ton. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's interesting? Like, and I know you might laugh, but I genuinely think the Pac-12 is set up to have some juice to it heading into next season. That's kind of my takeaway from some of the recent developments. No. What about
I don't know.
Colorado?
When you say Pac-12, I say Arizona, and then immediately I just think of something that makes me,
You've come around on that, though. You gave it one sleep, and now you're starting to think Arizona, backcourt depth. They've got pieces. Tommy Lloyd can get them to run up and down the floor. This team has potential.
I don't know. I need some gummies. That's what I need. I need some gummies.
Theo, what's your reaction? We didn't ask you yet, Terrence. On Caleb Love to Arizona, what are your thoughts?
You know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I think Tommy Lloyd will coach the heck out of it. And not only that, you have guys on that roster that you can give the ball to whenever Caleb Love just doesn't. He goes off and does Caleb Love things.
Exactly.
He's going to be coached differently. And Hubert Davis, his method obviously didn't work to Caleb Love's benefit and North Carolina's benefit for the type of player he was. Maybe a change of scenery and a guy that's a little bit tougher will help Caleb Love. And I think it's possible. I think it's possible, especially Jaden Bradley, slow it down a little bit. He's played fast before. Arizona's going to play fast. I think there's a chance that it could work. Plus, you have some guys around that are willing to do the other things. Pele Larson will do the other things. Kylan Boswell will do the other things. I I'm not mad at it. I think it's a much better fit than Michigan, and I think it's a better fit for him than North Carolina. That's where
because he's going to be in a system like Tommy Lloyd. As much as they get up and down, and as much as they play fast, there is a structure to what they do that is significantly more than what North Carolina was, and what I assume would be the role that Caleb Love would play on a Michigan team where there's like nothing else, right? Like they get up and down the floor, they run those pick and rolls, and they run stuff through the big guy, right? And to your point, T.O., this was the most important thing that you said. If Caleb Love doesn't do what Tommy Lloyd asked, if he goes off script, you know what happens? He's going to get parked on a bench because Kylan Boswell is a stud and Jaden Bradley is a very good player. So, and here's the thing, Boswell, he's a fine shooter, right? I don't know if he's a great shooter. Jaden Bradley needs to prove that he can make shots from the perimeter. Now you got a guy that can make shots. And the most important thing for Arizona next year is going to be having guys that can make shots, because you got a dude that averaged 18 and 9 in Umar Ballo, despite the fact that he had the big, I'm blanking on the kid's name. What's his name? Zulus Tubelis.
I don't know. I can't even focus anymore.
Oh, come on.
I didn't sleep last night. I haven't slept in a few nights.
What?
This has been really hard for me.
Oh,
for a multitude of reasons.
Okay.
For a multitude of reasons, of which some have already been discussed.
You're so sunburned you can't lay on your bed sheets.
That's the problem. Yeah, we gotta get you a little aloe vera.
No, the hard part is too. I have all these nephews that went to Michigan, so now, like, the
Uncle
kid couldn't get it. He couldn't get into Michigan, but he just flies into Arizona. So it just kills the value of my education.
Well, that's what kills it. No, I'm just,
it took you 6.5 years to get an undergrad degree.
5.5. Damn it. 5.5.
Doctors have. There are surgeons that spent less years in college than you did right now.
No,
right now, malpractice in this world.
Trevor Valise is making the YouTube video for the morning. Goodman's nephews to blame, all caps, for education. And what you're also saying is that you don't sleep in May.
Not when Caleb Love commits to Arizona, I don't.
One team we have not hit on. I got to get your thoughts because they do huge traffic. All right, Jeff, Devo Davis. He's coming back. Jordan Walsh is staying in the draft. How good will Arkansas be?
Well, I mean, they're going to be good because Musk can coach, and he can coach a new group better than just about anybody, right? He's so used to it from his NBA days to obviously doing it at Nevada and now at Arkansas consistently. I don't know if I'm all in on him just because, again, they don't have great shooters. You know, you look at who they've added. Ellis, not a shooter. Khalif Battle, not really a shooter. Tremont Mark, not a shooter. Menfield from Washington's not a shooter. But they got talent. They got talent. They got experience. They got Musk coaching them. I think I got them somewhere around 10 in the preseason. You never write off Arkansas. That's what you learn. You never write them off because they're going to make a run. They're going to peak at the end of the year. We're going to question them early because you're going to have some bad losses. And again, they're going to be good when it matters. But
just put them in the second weekend.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Here we go.
Hold on. Yeah, before you do that, let me just say one thing, Fanta. The thing that Musk does better than anybody in college basketball is find guys that can win one-on-one matchups and put them in situations where they can exploit those matchups. That's what he did. Yeah. That's what he did to beat Kansas. That's what he did to make his past NCAA runs. That's how he has been able to have success late in the year, every year he's been there. I'm not 100% convinced that he has a roster full of guys that can win those one-on-one matchups this season. There are good players. There are good scores. I don't see the kind of overwhelming, like, you just look at a guy like Anthony Black and say, throw him in a post, we're going to figure it out. You look at a guy like Nick Smith and say, he's a bucket getter. You look at Ricky Council, how athletic he is. Yeah, you can clear out, get him on a switch so a five's guarding him, let him get downhill, get to the rim. I don't see those matchups and those guys that can win those matchups. Fanta, I know there's some breaking news. Go ahead.
There is some breaking news. Reports out there. Dylan Mitchell of Texas has withdrawn from the NBA draft. He will head back to the Longhorns for next season. Any reaction to this news? Obviously a versatile, explosive player, just wasn't able to put it all together offensively this past year.
I talked to him earlier tonight, and he had a tough decision. He was very torn, but I think he was a guy who he's so smart, and he understood he was going to be drafted somewhere in the early part or mid part of the second round, and he felt like with another year and being able to play in the wing, that's the big thing. Is right now Texas doesn't have a wing, and ultimately, if he can pair with Tyrese Hunter and Max Asmus, and then you have Disu and Shedrick up front, can Dylan Mitchell become a competent three-point shooter? Can he? That's the big, he's got to shoot it. He's got to have confidence in it and shoot it. And it may not go in early, but I think ultimately the kid's super talented. He's almost too selfless, and he was last year. He's got to be a little bit more selfish next year. But I love Dylan Mitchell. I hope it works out. And I think he made the right decision here.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And the one thing I will say about him is this. John Henson, who is on our network, has known him for a while. They're both from the Tampa area. And I believe Dylan played for his AAU team when he was like 15, 16 years old, something like that. Goodman, correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah.
He raves about Dylan Mitchell, about what he is as a player, about what he did not have the opportunity to show last year when he was at Texas, raves about him as a kid. And look, John Henson's been around, man. Like, he played on some really good North Carolina teams. He played on some really good teams in the NBA. He played for 11 years in the NBA. He knows a thing or two about good basketball players. So if he's going to say, and he's also not the kind of guy that's going to BS us. So I'm very interested to see what Dylan Mitchell can be with another year of seasoning in college, with maybe a more expanded, more confident role offensively. I think there are going to be good things coming, and I'm excited to see this Texas team, man. Like I really like the pieces that they've put together with this group. I think they can be really good.
They're going to be able to get any shots up with Asmus in the fold and Hunter in the fold.
I think they will.
Like, the only thing is like I thought he was be better suited in the pros.
Really?
Okay, so listen, I talked to a bunch of NBA GMs about him, and they were all like he should go back because they felt like he might not be ready. While he'll be in the G League, we know next year if he went to the pros, while he may get more time with a shooting coach, it'll be harder for him playing against grown men right now in the G League. That part will be more difficult. The time in practice and development will be beneficial, but it might hurt him in his confidence playing against grown men in the G League.
Yeah, and he needs, I don't think he's a guy that necessarily needs reps with the jump shot as much as he needs reps in live game action and figuring out how to do this stuff that he does in practice and have that translate over to a basketball game. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying, T.O.?
It sounds like a perfect G League opportunity.
He needs confidence.
But when you're in the G League and you're one of those guys, every play is for you. You're going to find confidence, so they're just going to force it to you.
But if you're not ready for it, and those are men.
But athletically, he's ready for it.
Athletically, he's not. Is he ready? Like, I don't know. I mean, you may be right. I think he had one of the tougher decisions. Here's what I would say.
It was a tough decision. I tend to lean the other way because of what he needs. But I'm not sure he's going to get at Texas.
But here's the problem. Here's the one problem. If he goes 42, that NBA GM doesn't have anything invested in him. It's not on that GM's resume of like, if he gets it out of the second round pick, that's great. Right. But if he doesn't, no big deal. If he picks him next year and he plays his way at 22, it's a different ball game. So the investment, that's to me, the biggest thing is in a year from now, Tio, even if he has another year, kind of like he had this past year, maybe a little bit better, he's still going to be drafted 30 to 45.
That's a good point.
And now there's actual profit. There's actual benefit that goes beyond just raising your stock for those players. There is the player that can come back, and that, frankly, that's the clear best avenue because they're not going to be a pro. But there's also the side of a guy who's going to be a pro in Dylan Mitchell, who also going back to college can be his best route. He can improve his stock. He could continue to get educated, and he could potentially make some dough as well down in Austin. So I mean, that's the interesting layer to this. We've passed midnight. I have a couple: Damian Baugh at TCU, Paul Mulcahy at Rutgers. So like nothing public from some of these characters. The list comes out in the morning, so I mean, or might come out shortly. We're going to find out. If you're a player who did not announce before midnight, what were you doing today?
I mean, you made your decision, but like maybe they just don't care about announcing.
No, well, TCU, they're in different. They may not know it's Eastern time.
What
Never know. You never. Hey, stranger things have happened, boys. Stranger things have happened.
You know, Jeff, I was thinking about it because, like, T.O., I'm sure we're talking about college kids here. We're talking about, you know, not just the kids, but it's not like these circles. Not all these circles have the brightest bulbs.
That's right. That's right.
I am waiting.
I know T.O.'s circle back when he played. You know.
Yeah, well, you had.
I do that circle.
Yeah. You had a smart circle, Terrence.
I did.
Terrence,
no, I'm not killing T.O.'s parents. No, I would never do that.
Hey, T.O., I do want to hear this from a former player.
Yeah.
And Rob, sorry. I know you played too.
Don't give him that. he got kicked off of Vassar 4 times. We can't just keep calling him a player.
Do we give it? Do we give
it
to him?
Hey, do you have any school records, T.O.? Because I have school records. Do you have any school? What do you got?
Most points in overtime.
That's your school record? No way.
Most points in overtime, and then I have most threes as a freshman.
How many points in overtime you get?
I had 14.
Wow.
Lowest
12 or 14. 12 or 14.
Lowest career dunk percentage she also has. I got a school record too.
50% dunker. 50% dunker.
T.O., I got a school record too.
You took your skate off and stabbed a guy like Billy Madison.
Terrence,
I wish, man. I wish. I've thought about doing that to Goodman.
Oh my God.
He's wearing the T-shirt of Carl Charles.
I got a little bit of news. It looks like. Well, it's not news, but it looks like we will have the Ray J. Dennis announcement tomorrow live on the Field of 68.
You gonna put that in Dagan's schedule or
no? We're just gonna tell him tomorrow at some point. We'll wake him up. We'll wake him up at some point.
Hey, Goodman, that's a perfect segue for the 5 biggest names left in the portal. Ray J. Dennis is the big one. We'll deal with that announcement tomorrow. Grant Nelson, 6'11", super athlete, like really, really fun player that was at North Dakota State last year. Olivier Kamwa, Tennessee transfer, pulled his name out. Arthur Kaluma, we talked about him a little bit. Kentucky's in the mix there. And Cam Spencer, who UConn.
Zion Poland from Riverside. Zion Poland. Olivier Kamwa. Did you say him?
Yep.
We said, we have him.
Tyron Lawrence from Vandy.
Tyron Lawrence, Vandy. So they're probably about 9 or 10 players right now that can be impact changers at the high major level. And that's about it.
Hey, but we are into June and those things are happening. So it means, I mean, there's no such thing as an off season. This has been 2+ months of endless news.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. I wanted to ask Terrence this question from the player's perspective. Terrence, when you look at the climate of these kids and the choices that they are making, and to that end, the circle that we just spoke about and having the right people around you, and if you're a tweener, if you're trying to figure out your way, you talk to some of these kids throughout the season. What would you tell them right now, especially like those guys a year from now who are going to go through this stuff, of what you think that they need to be most aware of as a player?
Just ask as many people as possible so you don't just get one point of view. And now that you have access to all these different people and there's not just one, like, for example, I had one agent that I was listening to because we didn't have access to all the information. What was it, 15 years ago that the kids do now?
You had one agent.
I had one agent, and he was the guy that was telling us everything, and it was wrong. A lot of the stuff he was telling us was wrong. So, like, just make sure that you double check some of the information that's being fed to you, because a lot of times guys will just say certain things to get you to go a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, you see this stuff, talking to these kids, talking to these agents of getting bad information?
Well, it used to be. I mean, I remember talking to a kid named Chris Taft years ago, played at Pittsburgh, and literally told me, he said, I made the mistake. I listened to the mock drafts. That's why I came out. and the mock drafts were so bad, and some of them are still so bad. They're so conflicted. Certain people who do them are, taking money from all over the place, and it's just not good. But other guys do it the right way. Other guys try. But again, whoever's doing a mock draft, none of this shit is really accurate. I mean, look at last year with Paulo and Jabari Smith. Like, nobody knew.
So, contraire, Goodman.
T.O. I can't believe T.O.'s awake. It's 12:09, and T.O. is, I mean, I don't know what you had before you came on tonight.
It's a minor miracle. I've got the sniffles. That's the problem. I got some cough medicine.
What do you guys make of Rob's tan?
Rob's tan? He's like white as a ghost, isn't he?
It's just the lighting.
It's not the lighting.
It's just lighting. Yeah.
You wouldn't go outside. We went to the pool. We went to the pool in Vegas. We walk out. What did you say, Dagan?
How about the eyebrows? The eyebrows are looking good right now. They're actually kind of I'm getting some white hairs in the eyebrow. I did trim off. No one, look, you want to know how I know I don't have any real friends on the field of 68? There was one white hair I had in my beard that was growing out, and nobody told me about it. And now it's in the AG1 ad that we have that's going to run throughout the entire summer. So all you was going to see is the one white hair I have in my beard. No one told me about it. You guys aren't my friends.
You had it all season.
Not my friends.
All season you had it growing.
None of you are my friends.
We don't pay attention to your beard hairs.
That's not true.
No,
we barely pay attention to you.
I don't pay attention to your beard.
Do you do your eyebrows?
Do I do? No, I don't do anything to my eyebrows. But the YouTube chat is they're very weird about my. Dagan can explain it. I don't really understand.
We've hit. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait a minute. The comment of the night. Ben from Kentucky says T.O. or Goodman is Trilly Donovan.
What? They think it's T.O. or me?
Yeah. Like
I've already said, listen, I've already made it very clear. I'm not Trilly Donovan because I would never hide behind an account. I mean, I will put anything and everything out there. There's no way anybody could possibly think I'm Trilly Donovan. It makes no sense.
Goodman is way, way, way too much of a attention whore to have a.
That's very true. Very true.
There's
if I know something, I'm gonna say I know it.
Well, I know you know who Trilly Donovan is, so why don't you say it right now? Why don't you tell everybody who it is?
I really don't. I invited him on the show tonight. He said I respectfully decline.
Oh
yeah,
man,
we were gonna try to get Trilly on.
That's the big news.
The way that response is makes me think that Dauster is right.
That what?
He said I respectfully decline. Dauster had a name off there.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
All right, toast of the night. Toast of the night before we get out of here. Toast of the night. Let's start with Mr. Oglesby. Toast of the night.
To the Fighting Illini. Good for you guys. And we in another team too that we didn't mention that you said had the best portal season. We didn't talk about Kansas. Kansas, it's not just Hunter Dickinson and Timberlake. Arterio Morris coming over, getting a breath of fresh air and playing for Bill Self. That's going to be really, really interesting. Kansas was really good too. But my toast goes to the Fighting Illini. Excuse me. And Trevor.
Go ahead, Dauster.
My toast is so I'm going a different direction with this. One of our own is in a bad way right now.
I'm a jerk.
Patrick Young is I don't want to go into too many details, but if you're the praying type, Patrick Young could use some prayers tonight. So PY, we're thinking about you, man. Keep fighting, keep pulling. That's my
best dude in the world. Best dude in the world. He'll get through it, man. That dude, what he's already been through, got through with a smile on his face. We're thinking of you, man. We're thinking of you. Boy. Mine's Zach Edey. I mean, to have the National Player of the Year back for another year and just how he's done it. Like, that's the part we haven't talked about enough. Like, how he's done it. He's worked for it. He's earned it. He's worked. He's gotten better. He's not one of those guys who and Rob and I can attest to this, seeing him in West Lafayette sign autographs for every single kid. Like, he's appreciative of it. He enjoys it. And I think that's a part of the reason why he probably is back, in addition to the other things that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it was unbelievable being there because there was a line of people around the entire, like basically from midcourt on one side to midcourt on the other side, of people just lined up waiting for Zach Edey to come over and sign something and take a selfie with them. And he walked through and took a picture and signed whatever every single one of those fans wanted. Every single one of them. Didn't matter who it was, old, young, whatever. Every single person that was there waiting for him. And he does that after every single game. It takes him hours. Like I'm talking like 60 to 90 minutes after every game just to make sure that any fan that wants a picture or wants an autograph gets the picture or autograph that they want. That dude gets it. He is.
We got some really, I mean, there's some really
so good for college basketball, man. Like we want people to be like ambassadors for the sport, right? We want people to be the face of the sport. It didn't necessarily work out for Kentucky last year, but Oscar Tshiebwe is just a wonderful dude that's about the right things.
That's who. Hey, we got to toast to Oscar, to be honest.
Toast to Oscar, man.
Because, man, that dude was so much fun to be around. That smile, always, like always. So, Oscar, man, what you did for college hoops was appreciated.
Have a great professional career, man.
Yep. Fanta, who do you got?
68 will always be fans of Oscar Tshiebwe.
Who do you got, Fanta?
I'm going to cheers to Villanova.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to look, they haven't gotten a toast in well over a year. So they're going to get a toast. I mean, they probably get wine on the main line over at Nova, not beer.
But Jay doesn't drink beer. There's no way Jay Wright drinks beer. So he's not toasting with beer.
And neither does Kyle Neptune. I think both of them would have a glass of Merlot.
Yeah, you're probably right. We got to find out from Neptune.
We got to find that out. I think for Neptune, obviously this is going to be a huge test for him now because the expectations are high. They're going to have a loaded team. You wouldn't want it any other way. Right. But Justin Moore, guys, is just another great kid. Great kid, gives good answers, couldn't be nicer, always giving of his time. I think him coming back is good for the game. Eric Dixon is just, I can't say enough.
You know what also is good?
Football. He could be a football player.
Benny, you know what else is good? Josh Hart's Twitter account is
Look, this dude, Josh, I understand how like sometimes the stuff from your brain goes to your fingers and you tweet it out and you put it out there directly. Every guy that's had kids has had the breast milk question. Like, would you taste the breast milk? Would you try it? You don't talk about that publicly. You can't put that out on your public Twitter account. Like, that's something you have a conversation with the other dads, like in your group chats. Maybe something
don't
privately.
You ever talk
don't admit it ever. What are you doing, man? Like,
y'all didn't put a little in your coffee.
Hey, look, Josh Hart needs better dad friends.
What did you just say?
Y'all didn't put a little in your coffee? You didn't put a little in your coffee, Goodman?
Oh, Jesus.
Just put a little in your
Christ.
Put a little in your dark roast.
By the way, for the record,
T.O.'s definitely had one of Goodman's gummies right now. That is confirmed.
Where did that come from?
I'm just kidding.
That's going to do it for us. For once, I wasn't the one who set things off the rails at the end of the show. Right. For the record, this is an Omni hotel, not a Motel 6 to the YouTube chat, and I am sleeping in that bed in about 5 minutes. Yes.
Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta for an award ceremony, and people were saying, does Fanta have 2 queen beds? Oh, one of our commenters said, I haven't slept with my wife since 2010. I got news for you. It's been 13 years. You should probably reassess your marriage. My fiance is not here, but yeah, sometimes you get put in the room with 2 beds.
I asked for 2 queen beds.
Why?
You know why? I could throw all my shit down on one bed. It's easier. I don't need a king bed if I'm by myself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Goodman. It doesn't matter. 2 queen beds, 2 king beds, whatever it has, your room is a complete shit show within 3 hours of you showing up.
Kind of true.
All right, well, that'll do it for us.
Hey, Fanta, I have a question. How did you decide which bed that you're going to sleep in tonight? How did you make that decision?
I didn't really I normally like to go away from the door because if somebody came in, I'd have a little bit more time to get my ass up and feed them up. Let's just say somebody tried to break in, being away from the door would give me more time to fight that.
to run away.
Well, or to run away. Yeah,
Run
or
and
to run
hide.
away.
Where are you running? You're in a hotel room. Where are you going to run to?
I'm not sure. But I just made the decision. There's no method to this madness. It just is what it is.
How would you fight back? Would you fight back with the pillows? Like, what
Enough.
are we?
We'll do
Pillow
another,
fight.
we'll do another show on that maybe next week or the week after. For Terrence Oglesby, who I'm pretty sure thinks that the pump party was a totally different thing than what it actually is at the Final Four. And Jeff Goodman, as well as Rob Dauster, I'm John Fanta.